What's going on, FA Nation? Welcome to the Fantasy Line DFS NBA live stream. John Pember here with James Grande, Steve Pimentel behind the camera producing for us today. James, quite the playbook we have today. 10-game NBA slate, one of the highest we've had in a while. A lot of information out there, injuries galore as well today. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling good, man. Injury galore is definitely going, again, whether they're real injuries or not, it's going to be the theme for the rest of the year. So it's just something that we're just going to have to deal with it. Also, you said over 50 will be the over-under based on like people up top and in the playbook, definitely over.
Yeah, I was surprised today. Those who know what we're talking about on the podcast, I guess number of players would be in this playbook. When I saw the initial playbook, I scrolled down. It's like 34, huh? Seems a little bit light. And then I scrolled all the way to the top, and there's about 15 more, including an update. So, as news broke, James is on it today. It's impressive. There's a lot of guys to go over. And we talk about it all the time because we get, not flack in chat, but a lot of people are like, oh, like, how isn't this guy in the playbook? We can write about everybody, but that's just sort of doing like a disservice. There are guys who, yes, they're playable, but we're really trying to consolidate to guys that we think are some of the top tiers, maybe like the top 3 or 4 at the position based off price. And, writing about everybody is just not going to help us all. With that being said, on certain slates like this, and as you have on top with the players you like but aren't in the playbook or sort of are in the playbook, like you kind of have to, include them, because if you don't, like this type of slate too with the matchups, so many guys are in great positions as well.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of imperative to do it, especially only on bigger slates. So like in like yesterday's instance, when there was 4 games, like we could just everyone that we want to talk about, we could put in the playbook. But on big slates, we do, I think, need to include them, and especially because I'm not going to write about someone who's going to play, like, for example, Ian Clark. I'm going to not write about a whole paragraph about Ian Clark unless Elfrid Payton's ruled out.
Right.
Speaking of Elfrid Payton, I think this is a good time to pivot to some injury news. He's been upgraded from questionable to probable. Anthony Davis reversed that. He went from probable to doubtful. LeBron's going to play. We know Kyrie's out. Luka Doncic still probably the most notable name. He's currently questionable. Zach LaVine, Otto Porter, both out. Chris Dunn not expected to play. Justice Winslow just ruled out before we came on air. Al Horford, Jason Tatum are going to play. Eric Gordon still questionable. Nick Batum was just ruled out before we came on air. Taj Gibson doubtful. Harry Giles out. Larry Shamet questionable. Reggie Bullock questionable. So we do still have some news that we're waiting on. I think the 2 games that everyone is going to kind of
just ruled out.
I mean, it was like we said, it was gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. The 2 games that I think everyone's going to attack is Washington, LA, late night hammer. When the news came out that LeBron is going to play, the total spiked from 233 to 237. So that's a significant jump in just a couple hours. I mean, we only found out about LeBron like a couple hours ago. So not that he was ever not officially going to play. He was always probable, but he was officially deemed in a couple hours ago, 237. And then Atlanta, New Orleans was at 240. It's now 242. So not only did it these are the 2 games I think we want the most exposure to. There's other games, we could target.
Sure.
But there are also games like Miami, Orlando, 205. Do we want to target that? I don't think so. Denver, Detroit. If you find someone in that game you're interested in the 10-game slate, go ahead. I'm not going to be one of them. I doubt John's going to be on one of them, and a 211 total with so much just fantasy goodness on the slate elsewhere. So those are really the 2 most notable games, and we'll touch on other ones throughout this live stream.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get to it, though, MLB season again, Thursday, starting off, opening day for everybody. 4 o'clock, I think, is when the main slates for these sites kick off, so 4 p.m. If you want the edge to win from draft to championship plus dominate daily, MLB Playbook Pro has the package. You get Jim Button's draft guide, the ultimate cheat sheet plus 5,000 features, 35 seasonal, and DFS tools plus live chat every single day. Go to fantasyline.com/MLB season, promo code INPEMBA to get an extra 25% off. Doing so makes it less than $75 to get the entire Playbook Pro for the year. So not only do you help with your drafts, James, I know you had an auction draft tonight. I had 2 auction drafts last night that I was doing. I got another auction draft tonight. We're full of drafts right now. Playbook Pro gets you there. We were using the ultimate cheat sheet. We don't just preach these things for you guys to buy. We were using the cheat sheet while we were drafting. Got some guys at great value last night, so definitely check it out. And like I said, under $75 now, you get the whole season's worth the package. You got to check it out. FantasyAlarm.com/MLB season. Promo code IMPEMBA gets you an extra 25% off.
Yeah, please. I'm actually really looking forward to my auction draft tonight and using the cheat sheet, which, again, we were talking about all last night during your auction draft, and you were like, hey, give me the evaluation on this guy. I was like, it's right there. You don't even have to click anything.
Yeah. Really helps out when you spend all your money early and you have not much money left to spend at the end. But, that's a different strategy for a different day we'll talk about. Because, James, we do have 10 games that we need to get to. How do you want to do this? Do you want to start off with the plays you like but that are not in the playbook? Or do you want to just go position by position down and we'll hit them up as we cross it off?
Let's just go position by position. I'll just start us off real quick because I think I'm just going to jump all over the place at point guard because I think the two chalkiest plays at point guard tonight are spend downs. Shaq Harrison, Ryan Arcidiacono. They may not be the most exciting plays. They may not be in the best game total against the Raptors, who have already announced that they're starting everybody, so they're playing a healthy team. They just don't have other guard like Antonio Blakeney, sure. But Antonio Blakeney is going to have to play extended run because Otto Porter's out. So their guards are going to be forced to play big minutes tonight. We've seen Arcidiacono start 20 games this year. We've seen him with 30-point upside. We've seen 2 games in a row Shaq Harrison play 39 minutes in back-to-back games. He's obviously going to play another 39 tonight, and we've seen him with 30-point upside. So I think they are the chalk, at least at point guard tonight. Going up, I think Kemba and Trae Young are very elite tournament plays, respectively. The Spurs have been a very bad defensive team. They've been very good recently, like as a team. They're 8-2 over the last 10 games, but that doesn't mean they've been playing very good defense. Trae Young is at a 240 total, and he's coming off like his best game as a pro. He 32 actual points, hit a game winner against a playoff team. I don't see how this game doesn't at least come close to 242. If it's a game you want a piece of, Trae Young is like an elite GPP play for me and a secondary cash game play. I really don't have a problem playing him in cash. Like those are like the 4 guys I'm like really focusing in on. And I have like a bunch of other guys written down.
They're all up there too. I mean, like just guys that you have listed at the top. De'Aaron Fox is in my starting 5 video tonight because I mean you just get this awesome matchup here against Dallas that he's already had success against. I know you said you'd rather play Trae Young. I'd rather just play them both. We're also at a time of year where, like, yes, you want to fit in some of these elite players, but there are other guys that are cheaper that are going off. Like, you can get 60 points out of Trae Young at $8,000, or you can pay $11,000 for LeBron and get like 60 fantasy points. Like, the pricing hasn't really caught up to some of these guys that are really going off. And while, yes, it's more likely LeBron's going to go for 60 than Trae Young's going to go for 60, not against like Elf Payton defense. Like, I'm pretty sure Trae Young's probably going to approach 60 fantasy points tonight in this matchup. And you can almost see, especially if Luka Doncic does play and Dallas is able to keep this game a little bit more competitive. Like, De'Aaron Fox has that 50-plus point upside. He's gone for over 40 in 3 straight games. One of those games, 46 fantasy points against Dallas. So, like, those 2 guys I think are in strong plays. And then, you mentioned Elf Payton. Him gets that Trae Young defense, which we've been attacking all season long. Like, we played Ricky Rubio the other day, and he had 40 fantasy points in 27 minutes. Like, anybody just crushes Trae Young defense. And Payton, guy's been doing triple doubles like forever. Yes, I know he finally fell off that wagon, but I mean, like, we know the upside's there.
Right, and it's just a little interesting with him. Like, we were playing him in cash during this triple double streak. Yeah. I think it's more tournament play because interesting to see him be upgraded from like doubtful to probable out of kind of just nowhere.
And I like that AD is now the owner of the Pelicans, like, made a public statement like wishing him goodbye today, which makes me wonder like if AD isn't going to play at all for the remainder of the year.
They heard our rant last night then because I definitely it's an organizational thing that they need to address because they're a joke for playing this guy who just doesn't want to be there. But to your point, without AD, Payton's an elite rebounder for a guard. So I mean, there's legitimate triple double upside. I don't know who he's going to pass the ball to. We need Julius Randle to be the good Randle and not the really crappy Randle. But yeah, Elfrid Payton definitely a tournament play as long as he plays. I think Frank Jackson is still a play anyway. I mean, Elf has been in the lineup with Jackson, who's taken 13 plus shots in 8 straight games. Like more often than not, he's taking more than 15 shots. So I think Jackson, even with Elf Payton there, obviously Jackson becomes an elite play if Payton didn't play, but I think Jackson's a nice tournament play as well in a 242 total.
Right. What other point guards are you looking at here? Are you ready to move on? Because I mean, we could talk about like every position for 45 minutes today. Right. There's just so much depth. Is there really anybody else that you're like really keying in on here at point guard?
I really like Gilgeous-Alexander for tournaments, especially if Landry Shamet sits.
You know, on him, so
I think if there was somebody else from that list that I have, it would be him, especially if Landry Shamet sits, because I mean, we've just seen it. There's 38-minute upside. There's 40 fantasy point upside. And I'll just throw Jalen Brunson in there if Luka Doncic doesn't play, but I'm not going to go into why. We know he's going to take all the shots if Luka's not there.
Shooting guard, you have Harden, you have Beal at the top. You know, we talk about it all the time. Like, yeah, James Harden has absolutely been, going off late. 76, 86, 2 of the last 3 games here. Obviously, the matchup against New Orleans only played 28 minutes in that one, 40 fantasy points. But you have Bradley Beal against the Lakers, one of the best matchups for shooting guards all season long. And he's almost been as consistent as Harden has been for the majority of the year. Again, I know he's coming off sort of a poor game in his own. Where else are we going? Like, where is it really just pay up for Beal, pay up for Harden? Do you have a preference over the other two?
So after reading that Bradley Beal has a stipulation in his contract that if he finishes as an all-pro, no matter what team, he makes a large sum of money, basically shirted up that there's no way that he comes off the floor the rest of the year. Like, he's just going to continue to play big minutes. And we were kind of weird. I was kind of weary on the podcast about that. That makes me feel so much better about it because he leads the league in minutes per game, first off. So he's just going to continue to play big minutes. I prefer him to Harden. We can save $2,000. And I think he's actually been more consistent than Harden lately since Chris Paul's been back. We obviously know Harden has the upside. We know Harden has the 100-point upside. But Beal has been more consistent if you want to revert back to like the time that Chris Paul came back. So I like him. I don't love the rest of the shooting guard position. Like, I think Doncic is a strong GPP play. But how many minutes are they going to play him with these knees, right? I mean, yes, it was a blowout in Golden State. Yes, he went off, and that's what he could do. 26 minutes, he gave us a triple-double and 60 fantasy points. So he can do it. I don't know if, like, the knees are kind of, like, limiting him at all. I mean, he hasn't been over 30 minutes in 3 straight games. I think Lou Williams, ultimate tournament play. Andrew Wiggins, cash on FanDuel because I could talk about this all day, but they force you to play 2. So I think you can get away with him in cash. He's been good, 20 or 20 plus actual points in 3 straight games. Okogie's fine, like, for a tournament. D Wade is fine, but like, it's not a sexy position. I think Evan Fournier, if there was one Magic guy I would play tonight, it would be him. They have the lowest implied total on the board. They're coming on a back-to-back, but Fournier's been really good the last 3 games. I mean, 20-plus actual points and the fantasy points have been really, really steady. I just don't love how slow that game is going to be played. Like, the pace is going to be dreadful. The score maybe gets to 200. And then Jeremy Lamb, Jaylen Brown, tournaments. But, I'm not like must play. Right. They're not like must plays for me.
I do like Jaylen Brown. He's averaging 30 fantasy points against Cleveland this year. He has that 25% usage rate without Kyrie Irving on the floor. He just went for 40 against fantasy points against Charlotte. He's really, if you look at least this past month, I know there's a couple of bad games in between there, but I'm expecting him to start tonight, and he's just been one of the more consistent Celtic players, heading into this final stretch of games. So I do like Jaylen. Again, I threw him in the starting 5, which is out there right now. You can go watch that. Just for that mid-tier value, I think there's a chance for him to really continue to assert himself. And the Celtics have, again, it hasn't really just been like a narrative. They have been playing better this year without Kyrie on the floor, like their wins have been better without Kyrie. More guys have produced. So I'm not saying they're a better team without Kyrie Irving, but the team plays seemingly better without Kyrie Irving. So I think Jalen could potentially have himself a decent game given the cost of him. Small forward is always the loaded position when we have huge slates like this. You look at the top, and there's Giannis, there's LeBron, there's Kawhi. How are you deciphering from these top guys here?
I mean, I love the savings going to LeBron. And again, he's averaging 35 minutes per game on the year. Over his last 3 games, he's played 35 minutes per game. So we could just toss out whatever limitations LeBron may have or people think he has. Like, that's not true. He's just playing however many minutes he wants. He's $1,000 less on DraftKings. I love him over there. I think Giannis is also a really good play considering he gets a matchup against Harden, and they're probably the 2 leading candidates for the MVP. Maybe, Giannis comes out and is like, man, I want to, mark this game as like, this is where I won the MVP, or this is where I took control. I mean, the same could be said for Harden. Kawhi is a good play, not a great play. It's risky considering there's a 15-point spread. I'd rather pay the cheaper guys in this slate who have a better likelihood of getting me to at least 5x. Like, yeah. Kawhi's not going to play the fourth. Like, I don't know if the Bulls keep this close, but I don't think he plays the fourth quarter in this game. So LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi in that order would be the way I'd rank them.
The next tier down, we have Danilo Gallinari, and we talked about Lou Williams and Gallinari sort of as like the primary scorers here. We like SGA as well. Minnesota is allowing the 4th most fantasy points to small forwards on the year. I checked it out. Gallinari's playing almost 65% of his minutes at small forward on the year. Again, I know it's not like a huge sample size in terms of like or a huge breakdown of minutes, but this is a matchup that we have consistently attacked all season long, made money off of, and the way Gallinari is playing right now, averaging 40 fantasy points over the recent stretch of games here. For me, I think he's definitely the top play of this next tier. But what are you thinking of Jabari Parker or Seti Osman, Jonathan Isaac, that next tiering of players?
I don't love it. I love Gallinari tonight. I really do. I think he's a viable option for all formats. I don't have a strong take on Seti. He's just, now that like Nance and Love are playing extended run, he's just like...
He's getting the minutes, but he's not doing anything with it, which is frustrating.
Right, and the minutes are fine, but like now we're getting like Taurean Prince, who's at least in their price range on DraftKings, where he's getting the minutes and he's actually being productive, and he's in a
discount on FanDuel, only $4,900.
Right, and he's in a 242 total in an up tempo game. I mean, that's why I would go there over the other guys. But like Rudy Gay for tournaments, maybe it's another position where
no Batum tonight. What do you think about Miles Bridges?
So I think Bridges and Dwayne Bacon are very, very good. I would say all format type plays. I mean, Bacon's been starting. He scored 22 actual points last game. Bridges has been starting for freaking before the All-Star break, and he's been really good lately. I think you could get away with playing them both in basically all formats. If I had to pick one, I would probably lean Bacon. But I don't like it's. I think they're both good plays. On FanDuel, if Trevor Ariza is ruled out, Troy Brown is a lock because he's, for whatever reason, he's still min salary, even though he's starting. Yeah. I mean, I think FanDuel gave up.
Just officially ruled out too, so that helps some of the value. At power forward, at least with Chuck Dallow. Obviously, Julius Randle now a big bump in that spot as well. Peyton's still probable. But you're right there, the Troy Brown thing. Now, I saw the FanDuel pricing, and I saw Trevor Ariza priced all the way down to $4,800. And I thought that would be interesting if he was actually going to start today. It'd be healthy because in that matchup at that cost, he would have been, I think, one of the more popular plays because it wouldn't have taken much for a guy like him to get his upside. We are talking about some value, though, and you mentioned Troy Brown. What do you think about Daniel House? There's no Joel Green. He had 2 bad games. One of them he was playing a bunch of minutes. Against San Antonio, he didn't play any minutes, but now he's got, his last 6 games or so, he's gone over 23 fantasy points now in 4 of them. So $4,000 on FanDuel. Any interest in House, or is it sort of a straight spend down to you on guys like Bacon or like Troy Brown?
I mean, there is definitely merit to it. I like Brown. I like the Charlotte guys, and I even think I like the Pelicans guys a little better, and Darius Miller and Kendrick Williams. I mean, Williams is going to play 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Is there great upside? No. But the thing about House is, like, when the night that we were all over him, like, he scored fine, but he did nothing else. And right. I just think James Harden and Chris Paul and Clint Capella soak up so much of just everything. I mean, Harden and Paul are scoring and assisting. Mm-hmm. Harden is assisting and rebounding, and Capella grabs every board possible. So, like, that doesn't leave anything for right. House and Tucker. So, like, on a 10-game slate, I don't think we need to force it. Like, I think he's, last piece. Maybe you want to differentiate from your value. It's fine, but it's not something I'm, like, forcing into my lineups.
Last guy I want to mention, because we talked about him on the podcast here, Stanley Johnson.
I'll throw him into the equation with those other guys. I mean, do we need to do it? No, but he's gotten over 20 minutes in back-to-back games. He's been productive. I mean, this was a lottery pick from a few years ago. I don't think New Orleans would have just gone out and traded him just for like shits and giggles. I think they do think there is some potential at least there to maybe develop. So we're getting to that point. Like, this is the time you develop your guys. There's no reason not to do it. There's no reason not to. But he's still only playing 22, 23, 24 minutes. So, like, again, do we need to force it? No, it's not the worst. If you're making, like, a lot of lineups, I think I'd throw Stanley in a couple.
All right, let's jump over to power forward now with the Anthony Davis news. How does that impact Julius Randle for you, obviously? Because we've had 2 different versions of Julius Randle.
To say the least. To say the very least. That's
we had the elite 75-point outing against Portland with no Anthony Davis, and then we had 6 fantasy points against Orlando with no Anthony Davis. Where, like, obviously the 6 points is the huge outlier here. I find it difficult to think that Atlanta is going to now hold Julius Randle in check. Right. Does he become your top power forward? For me, I had Bagley as my number 1 power forward tonight. How are you deciding between those two? What's your feelings on the top of this power forward position?
I think we need to let everything come to us, and I think that means playing Julius Randle. I mean, yes, 6 points is not good. 75 points wins us all the money. Yeah. He gets Atlanta, who ranks dead last across the board, except against the center position, where they're also terrible. But Randle has a great spot. He's in a 240 matchup. He's in a pace-up spot. And like you just said, there's 70-point upside. Like, it's very hard for me to not like him for all formats. And I think Marvin Bagley is an absolute stud, great play. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go Randle, because we've seen the 75-point upside, and we've seen 50 plus out of Bagley.
Yeah. But
we haven't gotten to that, like, next level where you're like, holy crap, that dude just took over the slate, and if you didn't have him, you lost.
Well, if they would play him,
36 minutes is definitely an encouraging sign.
Yeah, because, I mean, he went for 47 in 28 minutes against Dallas in their last matchup.
Right.
If he played 36 minutes in that matchup, he's probably going for 60. And we've seen that a few times out of him, where, like, against San Antonio earlier this year, 58 fantasy points in 30 minutes. Again, like, if they wouldn't play Bielitsa for as long as they did, or they just committed to this. I mean, this kid is legit. He's one of the reasons that they've had that, they're going to probably fall just short of the playoffs this year. But, I mean, next year, watch out for this team. I think they're going to be impressive. It sucks that they're in that tough Western Conference, but they're young, they're exciting, and for DFS purposes, they have a lot of guys that are worth playing. I agree with you. I'm just going to make an effort to get them both in my lineups. I think, again, I talked about it before at the start of this live stream. There are a lot of these top price guys, with Harden and LeBron and Giannis and all these. Is this maybe becoming more of a fairish balance? Because you have a lot of these guys in the 7 to 8K range, all with 50, 60 fantasy point upside tonight on the slate.
That is going to be a question because there's also, I think tonight is a multiple lineup kind of night because there is a lot of value that you can stars and scrubs, and guys like especially LeBron and Towns, who I'm looking at as my two top tier plays, are especially on DraftKings are really cheap considering their upside and their matchups. Like LeBron at 10-2 that's insane. Karl-Anthony Towns at 10-7 against the Clippers, that's insane. So you can do both. I think getting them in a lineup is very smart, and then I think doing a fair balance because you got guys like Kemba, you got guys like Julius Randle, you got this mid tier is loaded. So I think it would be smart if you are a multi-lineup kind of player, or if you're not a multi-lineup player, maybe do smaller stakes, more entries tonight, and get exposure everywhere. Because again, it's very hard if you're playing one lineup to fit everyone you want on a 10-game slate.
And this is definitely going to be a slate when 10 games, as we talked about, ownerships are going to be more evenly spread out amongst a lot of these guys, and it's going to be a multi-lineup type guy that's going to win those multi-entry GPPs. If you want to play one lineup, I suggest playing single entries. Throwing it one lineup into a lineup where someone's got 150 probably not going to do you much good tonight, given all the combinations that they can go to. All right, so those are the guys at the top. Let's talk about this next tier below at power forward. Who are you targeting?
Well, I will just throw Aldridge and John Collins out there because we know the upside at Aldridge. He just went for the greatest game of his career against your Celtics, and I know you look very upset about it, but he did, and he's still 7,900. There's the upside there. We love attacking Charlotte front court, so it's not if he's starting at center again, it's going to be very hard to ignore. John Collins, we talked about the minutes. He fouled out in 2 of those recent games, so I think there is some pause there, and plus there's now no Anthony Davis, so there's no rim protection. We're talking about Julius Randle. And we're talking about Jahlil Okafor. So, we don't really need to say much more about the upside Collins has, and then Bagley. I think Kevin Love is a great play, even with Al Horford. So I did some digging today. The Celtics rank, in the last 2 weeks, they rank 29th against centers, and they rank 24th against power forwards. Not very good, and
they're losing basketball.
Right, they're struggling as a team. So I think there is some merit there. I think Kevin Love is going to be -% owned because everyone's going to play Bagley, everyone's going to play Randall, everyone's going to play Collins, and there's probably going to be some ownership to Aldridge too. So I think we can get some really sneaky value out of Kevin Love. I think Montrezl Harrell for tournaments. Kyle Kuzma, I think, is someone we can use in all formats. I think we're letting the slate dictate who we play there. The Lakers or the Wizards are not going to defend anybody. So, and Kuzma's coming off a really good game. I don't know what to do with Bobby Portis. I want to believe that they want to play him 30 minutes and whatever, and they have been, but at a drop of a dime, he might play 20.
So Shamet officially ruled out, and Garrett Temple, didn't know he's still in the league, is starting in his place.
That doesn't bother me per se because that just is a filler for Lou Williams. That's just like a 2-minute. He's Garrett Temple is a serviceable basketball player, but Lou Williams is coming off a 50-point outing. There's no way that Garrett Temple is going to play extended run. So, but the rest of the power forward position, I just really like the spend ups. I don't Check Diallo becomes a really nice value play. I definitely want to get exposure to him in tournaments. The issue is especially on FanDuel, do you not play Randall or Bagley, or you don't play Collins? How do you plan on getting Diallo? So I guess it depends on your builds. Diallo seems more of a DraftKings play for me, but if you're doing multiple lineups, you can get a Randall. You could pair Randall Diallo. You could pair Bagley Randall. You could pair Bagley Diallo. So, but Diallo is definitely my favorite value play. I will throw Nemanja Bjelica out there too, just because we know there's GPP upside, and randomly he plays 30 minutes. Every other game, it seems like he's out of the rotation, then he's back in 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, and no Harry Giles tonight officially ruled out, so I do think there's some extra run to go around to go to Bjelica.
Hopefully to Bagley.
Hopefully to Bagley. Unfortunately, it seems like Bjelica is the one that benefits the most, and that hurts both of our heads to say, but it is kind of true. Sorry to burst.
Let's go to center. Karl Towns at the top, like you said, he is in my starting five video as well. This is the matchup that we have just loved attacking, for at least the last month and a half, right? Like since we noticed that the Clippers were allowing the most fantasy points to the position, and it's just held true for a while now. And you have Towns, who has been one of the best centers now for 2 months, it seems like. You struggled with not being able to play him due to certain ownerships and other spend ups. Obviously, he's a lock in GBPs. I think that's the way to play. You wondered, Thomas Bryant is our top ownership play at the moment at center. He gets that great matchup against the Lakers. But talk about Towns, it's not a bad play to pay Towns. It's all about roster construction now. And with some of this news breaking too, it would be interesting to fit them and the other players in your lineup also.
So I think he's I think he is the top play of the slate. It's just, again, in cash games specifically, FanDuel wise, I don't need to worry about in DraftKings because Thomas Bryant's forward eligible, so I can play him both. But on FanDuel, you have to, if you're playing Towns, you have to get away with beating 50% of the field as we have it projected. And I don't know if I want to do that in cash. That's not fun. It's not fun hoping that your guy goes for 60 because that's what we need to get 5x out of Towns.
Yeah.
Do I think he could do it? No question. I mean, it's the Clippers. He's gone for 70 just his last game. We just saw 2 weeks ago he was going for 70 on a nightly basis. So I just don't want to beat the field in cash, at least on FanDuel. I'm playing them both. I think Thomas Bryant and Towns per dollar, best two center plays. I like Jokic. I don't love him. Again, I don't want to really attack that game. I don't think we need to go to Vukovic on the second night of a back-to-back. Lowest implied total on the board is the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
Andre Drummond, again, it's a game that we don't need to play. If you want to play these guys, I'm not telling you, John's not going to say, hey, man, don't play that guy because they all have 60-point upside. It's just there's better spots. We could play Julius Randle at center on DraftKings, or if we really wanted to.
Bagley can play center. There's a whole bunch of guys at center.
Right. I think Clint Capella is a really interesting tournament play at center. He is just murdering people on the glass right now. I mean, he played 24 minutes the other day and gave us 17 rebounds. He gets a guy who's probably allergic to rebounding in Brook Lopez tonight. I think that's an elite spot. I love Al Horford on DraftKings. We were talking about it last night where when Kyrie's off the floor, yes, Terry Rozier is the de facto point guard, but the offense goes through Al Horford.
Horford absolutely dominates when Kyrie's off the floor. And we missed that. One of the matchups recently where Kyrie, I think, didn't play, and we just didn't pay enough attention to Horford. I think we're too focused on Rozier or maybe Hayward or whoever it was. And then we're it was Al, and Horford had a huge night. So, I agree with you. It was a Sacramento game, maybe, I think it was.
Yeah, of course. What a surprise, huh? Sacramento Kings versus Centers versus Kings.
He absolutely dominated that one with no Kyrie. So I agree. Definitely on Horford. We have questions in our chat, though, about JaVale McGee. Are we trusting what we're seeing out of him? I mean, he broke the slate for 75 fantasy points against Brooklyn. Centers against the Nets, that's a thing. Next game, Sacramento, 17-13, 48 fantasy points. We know centers against Sacramento is a thing. Now, centers against the Wizards was a thing for a while when they were just going with Portis. But now that Thomas Bryant is back in, I mean, centers are still having success. Bam went for 50 against Washington the other day. Are we trusting JaVale McGee again? What are we doing here?
So, because of price, I'm not going to play him in cash. But, everything you just said, there's no denying what he's doing. And there's no denying that Washington can't rebound. They're the worst rebounding team in basketball. And JaVale is crushing it on the glass right now. So,
and the blocks.
So I don't see, I think he fits best in a game stack. I think this is a very good game to stack. And I think JaVale works because you could play him and Thomas Bryant if you want on DraftKings. You can't do it on FanDuel, but you could do it on DraftKings. So I think it's a good stack. If you're
game stacking this game on FanDuel, Bryant or McGee, who are you going with?
Thomas Bryant. I think there's more of a commitment, and they've come out and blatantly said it. They've come out and said, I'm playing this guy, and the 2 games since he's played 35 plus minutes. So, I mean, we saw earlier in the year, like we were saying, like why isn't this team with no center playing?
They should let us run the worst team in the NBA and just like see what we can do. You know, like,
I'm down.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'd probably win. Like maybe we'd.
They have that like fantasy football league where like you call the plays. Can we do? Yeah. They need to get the NBA involved there where like we can pick the roster and
pick the roster. I'm not gonna. No one's gonna listen to us.
You don't call plays in the NBA.
Right? There's no such thing. So.
No. All right. Any other centers here? Value you guys are looking at?
There's no value. I just want to stop at Thomas Bryant because you don't need to go further. DraftKings, there's plenty of guys that you could just shift from power forward to center, but on FanDuel, you do not need to go. I'll throw Brook Lopez out there for tournaments. I think he's fine.
All right, I like it. Let's see what I can give you for a final question to kick off the show. For those of you who paid attention to past James, like to give me out of the box questions. Yesterday, you want to know who my 10x play was. I won't be too hard on you here. James, give me your favorite. Give me your 7x mid-tier guard today.
Favorite 7x mid-tier guard. Now, what? Give me the price range on mid-tier.
Yeah, we'll give you from 6,500 to 5,000.
I'm gonna go for 7x. I'm gonna go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I really like that matchup against Minnesota. They've ranked 29th against point guards. Actually, 30th over the last 2 weeks. They're worse than Atlanta in the last 2 weeks against point guards. No coincidence. Their whole team's hurt. Gilgeous-Alexander should probably play 35 plus minutes tonight. That's my 7x under. That's my 7x mid-tier guard.
$5,700 on both sides. 7x is going to give us like 40-ish fantasy points. So I like the call here. All right, that wraps it up. We'll be in subscriber chat for the next 30 minutes answering your questions. Slate starts at 7 o'clock. Everything's out, I think, right? Lineups out yet?
No, lineups
I'm a liar. Lineups are not out yet, but starting 5 and Playbook are out. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Later, guys.